Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the missing link, Ultra Magnus, and here he is, so let's just jump straight into it. So I'll quick take the little Diaclone car guy out for a second so we can take a look at everything. We'll start off with the cab, and in typical fashion, this is the Ultra Magnus Optimus Prime, cab, and it looks almost perfect except for just a few little things like obviously the headlights don't have holes in them because the fists are integrated, and some just different panels and holes and things that, wouldn't be present. Obviously, stickers that are now painted and or tampographed on. But yeah, just looks really incredible. I don't know if these little yellow spots were stickers or even present on the original toy. I'm not super certain. And rubber tires, of course, but looks exactly like the G1 Ultra Magnus cab robot. The feet are die-cast. This whole front piece is die-cast. So yeah, it is what it's supposed to be. The trailer, same thing. Obviously, you can tell. I think some of these pieces are die-cast. I'm not super certain which ones. I think some of these red side pieces are die-cast. I'm not super certain, but I'm pretty sure some of them are. Like this front vent piece, you can tell it's a tiny bit more different shade to the rest of it, to the rest of the red, and I will get into this, but we'll just leave this off for right now. But yeah, once again, same thing. Very, very similar. Sticker details are now tampographed and molded in, which is very cool. The ramp and everything still works perfectly fine because it worked on the original, so it's going to work on this one. You can, I don't remember if you can do this on the original toy, but you can do the Toon version with this. Of the missiles, have the missiles on the side like that. I personally like the original toy thing, and I personally like the original toy way with doing it. With doing it here at the front. But so yeah, well, this is the chest. I've always done this ever since I learned that the powered convoy stored the head like this, that they became this like spaceship thing. I have always done that to store the head while it has been in the while he has been transformed into truck mode. That's what I have personally always done. But yeah, here he is, and the little Diaclone car, I just kept the gun on him. I'm not going to do the whole little Diaclone guy in the front of the cab or in him. And I left him in the Matrix back in his box. So it's just this guy and Ultra Magnus himself. But yeah, really like this little guy. Reminds me of the Blue Bolt that came out with the HasLab Omega Prime. Just because of his colors, he's a little guy. Or a little girl, whatever, that comes with Ultra Magnus. And that's just what this little Diaclone car reminds me of. I don't know why, it just does. But yeah, that's how I like to just store the gun, because there's no real way. I guess you could store it in those pegs on the side, or just toss it into the bed or the flat deck of the trailer. But yeah, really, really like this guy. It is a little hollow and whatnot, but it's the way he transforms. But we'll start off with him really quick, so we'll just put Ultra Magnus himself off to the side. And this guy's super duper simple. We'll just put the gun off to the side because that'll be Magnus's. But this guy, the arms are a little, the legs are a little weird the way you have to split them, and then you rotate them forward, and they do tab in that slot, in that little tab, like that. And then the way all this works is it's able to hinge out, and there is some stamps, but swivel the head around, and then these arms rock out. Like, I like to rock the way they can rock out together, like when you're undoing them, but the way they go in, I like to swivel one underneath because it just makes it a little bit easier to do, to put them back into their configuration when he's going into his vehicle mode. I personally like doing it that way, and then you just open them up like that. And now you can bring this back down, and then these holes will peg into or onto those pegs, and you can extend the arms, and now you have an elbow. And another elbow, and there he is. He doesn't have much of a heel. Like, yeah, he is like really like deep, but because there's no actual like heel back here, he doesn't want to stand super duper well, especially when you try to get him into a pose, because he does have that split down there, and he can get a pretty decent amount of articulation, which I really do like how these like universal joints, they're kind of universal, but I do like how they work, but you really just lose a lot of stability when his legs aren't static. But either way, I really like this guy. He's nice and cute. I love the design with the wheels here up at the front and here in the shoulders. Just, he's a cute little guy. You know, he does have a decent bit of articulation. He doesn't have any swivels in his arms, but just basic, you know, regular, just regular stuff. And his head can only swivel, but really love that little guy's face. Just really nebulous, nothing really picking out his eyes, but I just really like him. This guy is a highlight. He's just really fun, and yeah, he's hollow. Yeah, he's kind of just there to be there. Especially for the Powered Convoy / Delta Magnus retool, and I'm not retool, repaint. But I just like him. He just is in these nice, you know, this nice blue, but I really like him. But enough talking about that. We will bring in Ultra Magnus, and we'll just do the main cab for right now. So this is going to function 90% of what the original toy is. So split the legs, and you'll see that there are these little tabs stopping them from just falling down. So I just like to angle them out, and then carefully spread that section open. And there's no locking mechanism or anything. They just open, and they are kind of flimsy because at least the joints, hip joints on mine, are fairly stiff, so they don't really want to bend before these flex. So I'm a little iffy on that, just because I don't want to break those. The feet just flip forward, and you do get these like little heel spurs, even though they're not spurs, because they don't extend past the actual foot. But it's the thought that counts. So we'll raise the camera up a little bit. So the arms work exactly the same as the original Prime mold, and then you just flip out the hands like so. And same thing over here. Flip out the arm like that, and then head is the same way. You just flip it out, and now we can lower the camera back down, and here he is. And this looks incredible. I really do like the cab robot. I do really like it. The molded in and beautifully painted details that were stickers but are now, you know, nice and raised and are beautifully painted. A nice high quality shimmery paint, and of course the beautiful chrome all over this guy just looks incredible. I do love the way they did the shoulders. They bend inside the torso and then bend on the inside of the shoulder. Really do like that. You can get a lot of range. And speaking of that, you get a lot of range out of this guy. Universal shoulders and whatnot. Bicep swivel. Really do like the ratcheted elbow, even if it is kind of pointless. Wrist swivel with opening of fists. The waist, I can't remember how the waist works. You can kind of see it in there. It's right there, but I don't know how it necessarily interacts with this and everything. So I never really used it, but he has a super tight thigh swivel. ratcheted knee that bend. Wait, yeah, the original toy bent back. But then you have your ankle tilt and everything, and then you could count that as like a forward and back. Not really forward, but you have a little bit of a back. But just my biggest thing with the base cab robot is all this mechanism to spread the legs. I really love the inventiveness of the way the original toy did it, but you couldn't get any sort of forward leg movement because of that. And you can't get the natural, just regular like gap between the legs with the way the Legacy Deluxe class toy did it, because his legs just went together and then they split and they'd have to be at an A stance. There wouldn't be this just natural gap between the legs. So I don't know how they would do that to be able to make these stronger. But that's just one of my biggest gripes, especially with this like chrome in here. Typically chrome just takes away like the tolerance. The tolerance is typically super duper tight in my experience and knowledge when chrome is applied to joints like this. And you can tell, at least in this application, that unless I really wiggle this and try to, get it really loosened up, it's gonna just keep flexing that. And I'm just not a super big fan of that, just due to like a longevity concern. But enough of that. We might as well start getting into the actual armor and the main event of Ultra Magnus. And he's going to function almost identically to the original version. We're going to fold the arms in like you typically would on the original. And then the legs are just a tad bit different. The only difference, at least to my knowledge, I don't know if this is actually how you're supposed to do it, but I do it this way, is you fold that up and then you bring the foot up like that. Instead of leaving it down like that, you fold it up like that. And that is all you need to do for the cab robot. So now for the trailer, you will pull these off, obviously, and I don't know why this comes with 2 trailer hitches. I don't know why the original toy came with 2 trailer hitches or these waist pieces, because you can't have one on the bottom to act as the hitch and one stay on as the waist piece. I don't know why. If someone can explain to me why this toy and the original toy came with 2 of these, go ahead and tell me. I would love to know. But for people like me who just use the one, it goes on those tabs up there, and then it goes like that, and then it comes off. And then we'll just do it right now. It goes and tabs on up here. Like, dang it. It tabs in right there. So now, super duper simple, just like the original toy. We will take the helmet off, put that off to the side, and then we will disconnect the arms, just swivel those up out of the way. And now these white pieces will fold in, and then these will ratchet down and tab in. And now the arms will simply split and go around and tab in. And now the arms will close up. Same thing over here. And now we'll swivel the wrists. I don't think these like cuff forearm pieces will go down if the hands are in this position. I think they have to be swiveled either way. Then the chest, if it hasn't fallen off, just put it back on. So now the cool part starts to begin. These little arms come out and just fold out these little pegs. Same thing over here. And now you'll bring out these clasps. So it's not just these that hold it on. You will notice this little hook piece right there that will hook onto the bumper of the actual cab. So he will go in, and the wheels, those little bumps on the hubs, will go into those red slots. And this is kind of finicky because you got to kind of line that up and then push it in enough to where that little clip will lock and everything. So you kind of just got to work at it. And now you can close up those, and then that's why those holes are there. So you can put those in like so. And dang it. It is a little bit difficult, at least for me, because there's not a ton of room in here. You could leave this down and it'd be a lot easier, and that probably is how you're supposed to do it, but I didn't do it that way. So now all that's left is to put the head on, put the missiles on, and to give him his gun. Oops, wrong way. There. And to give him his gun. And now drop the camera just a touch. Or, no, I'm going to raise it. Raise it a touch. There he is. And here is the missing link Ultra Magnus. And I really like this. Ultra Magnus, G1 Ultra Magnus, the Powered Convoy Delta Magnus. This mold, the G1 mold, is just incredible. It has a design, it has an aura that is just fitting. I just love the look of it. It's just an incredible look. I absolutely love it. I'm a huge fan of it. But this toy just is a little bit iffy. The arms do work. I love that he finally has some in and out, because the original toy, other than a bicep swivel, always had an elbow and shoulder articulation, which I did like, because a lot of the toys of his era didn't have those. He does have a wrist swivel, and for some reason these wrists can come off, and they can open. So you do get a little bit of articulation out of the fingers. Obviously, it's not a ton, but you get the opportunity. So I really like the arms. Love the outward movement, and I do love the bicep swivel. That's really nice. Really do like that. And the head, it can swivel now. The original toy could not, I'm pretty sure. But it's just the legs. And everyone was probably wondering and assuming that the legs were going to be kind of iffy. Obviously, there's no waist. I don't think it would ever be possible to get this toy to have a waist. But I'm just not a fan of the legs. I don't know why. You do, to activate the knee, unless I'm doing something wrong, this cannot be connected. The knee works like that. The legs, I wish, I don't know why, because what's supposed to happen is this peg is supposed to connect to the leg of the inner robot, and you see that the inner robot's leg is able to move forward to give the range for the actual big guy leg to move forward. It just doesn't work very well, in my opinion. At least on my copy, it doesn't work very well. You know, like you can see, it just wants to move like that. So, yeah, that's fine. And then the way the legs work trying to move out and everything, just this toy gives off, it's a very novel and amazing idea. And I really do. I love the ingenuity of, you know, not requiring the pegs up at the top where the fists would go. How these things clasp the legs. I really do like the inventiveness behind this toy. And then like the ankle tilts. Really do like those. I love the inventiveness of this toy. And I love the, you know, even just the dynamicism of a pure A stance when the original toy couldn't pull that off. This looks so cool to see this toy, the mold, the look of the original toy, be able to do this like physically in hand. But anything outside of this and anything outside of like what the arms can do, like pose wise, like you can get some nice poses with the arms, but the legs just kind of fall short. And I kind of expected that, because I personally have always been, the inner robot is a hindrance to the Magnus design. I love the novelty of it. I love be able to have 2, 3, 4 toys in one, with the trailer, the armor, the base robot, and then just a regular cab. and then 5 if you include the little Diaclone guy. I love the novelty of it. But you look through history, this toy, the original toy, and then Siege are the main ones that come to my mind. They just fall a little bit short compared to their contemporaries. I don't own the titanium version, and it doesn't look great, but it pioneered the no inner cab or cab robot. But you look at that toy, you look at the Combiner Wars, you look at the Masterpiece, the Studio Series, and I personally think those toys have just set my expectations a little too high for a toy like this, when it's not trying to pull any of that stuff off. It's just trying to pull off the original G1 toy with more articulation. But due to its adherence to, or need to adhere to, what the G1 toy did, it kind of defeats the novelty of it. I think maybe if they did something similar to the way Perfect Effect did the cab robot for the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, where it could stay attached to form like the back and everything, but you could also remove it to become its own inner robot. I think that would have been a better way to go. Like, basically null and void the way the legs work and make them like fold up, kind of how that toy does, if I'm remembering correctly, and then just have these legs be super stiff and bulky. I don't know. In my opinion, I really do like this toy. I really do like it, but it's kind of disappointing because I don't really feel the need or the want to play with it, because the original G1 toy does this better, but because, like, I hate the chest. You've seen it fall off like 2 or 3 times already. I don't know why it's so, these tabs and whatever are so incredibly weak, but in my opinion, the original toy just does what this toy does, just ultimately like 80% better. You don't have to deal with any of the finicky bits of like the legs, or like the way the legs spread apart for the inner robot. You just don't have to deal with any of that. You do have to deal with the parts forming, but I'd rather take the parts forming opposed to those teeny tiny little nitpicky imperfections. But I still like that this toy exists. I still love this toy because it's nice and heavy. It just, even just like I said, just standing here the way he is, he just looks incredible. I do like this toy. I don't want it to sound like I hate it or that it's a huge disappointment, but it's just little odds and ends that are disappointing, because I do love the fit and finish of this toy. I do love how the painted details just look and pop and just look incredible. This toy, I really do like. I'm not trying to take away from it. Just, in my opinion, it's not super duper perfect. And that's where that sort of disappointment is. I think the Ultra Magnus character across all of his toys has hit more highs than he has lows, in my opinion. Like, the G1 toy is pretty good. It's not super great. I think all of the Prime toys are really good. I really do like, I don't own it, but I really do like the War for Cybertron one, or the Generations 2010. I love the Combiner Wars. Studio Series is incredible. I don't own the Masterpiece, but if he's anything, freaking Nat. Sorry about that. But just most of the Ultra Magnus toys are just really good, or not the cheap Inner Robot repaint ones, and yet those are really good. The MPO1 version is really good. The little Armada Universe one is really good. Freaking Nat. Sorry about that. But Ultra Magnus has just had amazing toys, and just when this guy just has a couple little nuances, I think that's what's affecting just the way my brain works and thinks about this toy, is that if he's not perfect or near perfect, he's just below average, even though this really is a good toy. Do I think he's worth the price, at least the original price of like $250 to $300, like when he first came out? No. I got mine for $200 exactly, and I think that is a very fair price for this toy. I think it's a very fair price. There's plenty of toy, plenty of articulation, plenty of weight, heft, and good plastic to justify that. And for that price, he's really good. But unless you don't like Ultra Magnus, unless you don't like this toy or the Missing Link line, it really is a bit of a skip. But if you like this toy, if you like Ultra Magnus, if you love the G1 toy, I really would recommend it because he is pretty good, just not exactly perfect. But that's really all I have to say. So, till next time, see ya.